No problem. How you doing, man? How you been?
I'm doing good. How about yourself? Doing good.
Great, man. It's good to catch up with you. And I know, obviously, last week they didn't retain you to the staff, and you said you were a little surprised about that. I mean, was that something you just thought it was second nature? Hey, I'm coming back. I'm getting ready to do this. Was this something that you were looking forward to next year?
Oh, it's definitely something that I was looking forward to. Especially after the season's over, which you do your write-ups on you guys, and you look back at all the games and just where we improved and where we need to make some improvements on different things. And I was really looking forward to getting into the off season, going through the OTAs with them and starting to work on some of those things. But, it just didn't happen that way for me.
What are some of the things you just mentioned, some of the things you need to work on? Ultimately, first couple things that come to your mind as to the problems this team had that you would have liked or that you would like to see them work on moving forward?
You know what? Just from a defensive standpoint, when I'm looking at pass rush stuff, some of the things that I was just looking at was just the timing of some of the stuff that we were doing as far as when we were blitzing, when we were running stunts and stuff, just trying to get it to time up a little bit better. Maybe if the guy started with the opposite foot back, or if there was something that could have just helped it go a little smoother, just help it, especially when the linebackers were coming through, just to kind of how to clean hands when they're working against a guard, or, how to attack different running backs depending on what they show them. So I was just kind of looking forward to getting that going.
It's really interesting because you worked with the outside linebackers. Is that something that you pursued, or did they just say, hey, we want you to do that? How did that happen?
Well, I went in and talked to Coach Kelly and just asked him if it was possible if I could go over and work with the outside linebackers, because that's something that I studied all my years as a player, just studying pass rush. So I just felt like, I could definitely get some insight when it comes to that. And he allowed me to do it, and it worked out.
Kind of interesting because that was the philosophy behind putting Juan from the offensive line coach to the defensive coordinator, was that, hey, I've watched all this, and it's kind of like what you're saying here. When you were working with these guys, what were some of the things that you think you taught them that translated to the field? Because the numbers suggest they had a better year.
Yes, they definitely did. We went from 16 sacks the past year to this past season. We went up to 26.5 just out of that segment. So that's adding 10 sacks to your defense right there. And then we go from 37 sacks as a total defense the previous year, and then now we're second in the league with 49. But it just one of the things that I was teaching them is just spatial awareness. And then when I was looking at offensive linemen, I'm looking at their movement, their timing, when they want to punch, how they want to set. So we developed moves that would counteract whatever the offensive lineman was doing. So I would look at that offensive lineman, see what other weaknesses that he had, and then we would just attack it. And that's pretty much what I did, just helping out with spatial awareness, talking about, showing different moves, trying different moves that would be, effective out there on the field, man. I mean, Connor Baldwin went from 5 sacks to 14.5. BG, he went from 3 to 5 sacks, but he missed 9 sacks. So, where he just wasn't able to bring the guy down. So that's a lot of offensive tackles that just got spanked out there, from what we were doing. So, it was just a surprise, but, it worked. And I just always wish these guys success as they continue to move forward.
Well, Trey, obviously, it's something you sound very passionate about, the fact that you worked with these guys and they got better. Is this something that you hope to get back into? Do you want to stay in the coaching game?
Well, I enjoy it. It was definitely something fun. The only thing that I love the coaching part of it. I love, just being able to seeing that what I'm teaching is actually working on the field and that it could work on this level. And, and that's what was really big for me. I would definitely look at it if someone were to come around, but, it's not something that I'm really like banging down the doors because, what, I'm such an eagle, true all the way through, man. It would bother me to go to another team and come in and just like, what my mindset is just to come in and smash you right now. I don't want to do that. This is my team. This is where I grew up. But, it's just the nature of the business, and that's how it goes sometimes, but it just is what it is.
That is awesome, by the way. Trey Thomas with us here, 97.3 ESPN. On the defensive side of the ball, guy like Trent Cole, do you think, he switched from a 4-3 to a 3-4. Is he a guy that you think the Eagles should keep around? I know he's getting a little older. He's going to make a lot of money. You coached him. Do you think that he could help them out next year? Do you think they need to find more of an impact player at that spot?
Well, you know what? You have Marcus that's coming up, and Trent is always going to give you 110% every play. the guy at first when they said they were switching over to a 3-4, I was really concerned because I just knew the type of pass rusher Trent was, and and when you had to drop him in coverage and stuff like that, I was a little concerned. But Trent handled it extremely well. He was actually pretty decent at dropping back into coverage and handling whatever he had his responsibilities in the coverage aspect of it. And then when it comes to the backside of running stuff down, I mean, he's just an animal out there on the field just because of his effort. But I know that the numbers are going to be high for him, so that's something that, that's way above my pay grade to have to handle that.
Ultimately, this team, 10 wins. They didn't make the playoffs, though. What held this team back from making the playoffs? Was it the lack of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball? Was it the offense? What ultimately is the reason that you believe that this team was unable to get to the playoffs with a 10-win season?
Well, you know what? We just have to be able to finish guys off. You can't get in a situation where you're down and things start happening. There are teams that we should have won against. We should have came back and beat Dallas, at home. But, that didn't pan out. You have Dez Bryant go out there and have a monster game. We didn't get to Romo quick enough at times. So, and that was one of the games that I look at where our stunts weren't timed up good enough, where we were knocking each other off our lines, where guys weren't getting there quick enough, and then that exposes our corners. It's not always the corner's fault. Sometimes we need to be able to get after the quarterback, and then that's just it takes all 11 out there to make it work.
That's interesting that you bring that up, Trey, because they say all the time, look, these corners, are they the most talented guys in the world? Not necessarily, but a lot of it is, you're asking these guys to be out there an extra 20 plays. Did you feel that, look, the offense is what it is, but a lot of times we're out on the field so much more than most teams are that, yes, we're going to get exposed and we're going to get beat. You put an average guy out there, 20 extra plays, he's going to get beat.
Yeah, there's things that are going to happen, and then you have to look at it. I mean, most quarterbacks right now are getting rid of that ball at around anywhere in between 2 and 2.5 seconds. So if you get there at 2.6, that's just a hit on the quarterback. The ball is gone. So you need to be getting there, and that can only help your secondary out. So, we have to take some of that responsibility on our own, when you look at the defensive line. Look, we have to get after the quarterback. The name of the game, this is a third down league. Stopping the run is awesome. But then when you have teams that's going to get out there and air it out, you have to get after the quarterback.
That being said, if this team makes one free agent or big move on the defensive side of the ball this offseason, where do you think they need the most help?
I think in the rushing category, you have enough good rushers that can get after the quarterback. I think that you're probably going to need some help in the secondary, just because of what's been shown, and you're just seeing how people have picked on some of our corners. But I think that you're probably going to need some help in the secondary level. But it's definitely some work cut out. They let me go, so I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, people respect your opinion because you were there and you played at such a high level. Let's flip over to offense. In your spot, left tackle, obviously Jason Peters is there, but are you seeing that he is starting to age a little bit, or do you think he's still the stud left tackle for the next couple of years? Or are you starting to get a little concerned about him?
No, I don't get concerned about Jason. I think Jason is a heck of an athlete. You see that there's stuff on film that just makes you just like, wow, what an athlete, how quick he is, how strong he is. It's just like sometimes you just see some issues where some guys had gave him a couple moves that maybe he wasn't really prepared for, or didn't, or it wasn't shown to him during the week of preparation, So, that's one of the things that he has just continue to work on as he gets older in the game, where you're going to have some guys give you a couple moves during practice during the week to kind of to simulate what you're going to see on Sunday. You don't want Sunday to be the first time that you get a special move, so you want to be able to get some of that during the week so that when it happens on Sunday, you're prepared for it. So, that's just one of the things that, and you could tell, like, when he had a bad game, he bounced back after that because it was kind of like, all right, you know what, I need to tighten up. And then, the film preparation comes into play. And then, it didn't happen that next week. And it just has to continue to go that way. We're
talking with Trey Thomas, the former Eagle, and he was coaching with them the last couple of years and was not brought back to the staff. And obviously, A lot of crazy stuff happened at the end of that year with Chip kind of taking over and Howie getting moved out of personnel. I mean, was it a weird time in the NovaCare Center at the end of that year? Did you sense that there was some issues going on over there?
Oh, you could definitely tell that there was a lot going on. It seemed like everybody just kind of scattered and stayed in their corner a little bit just to kind of stay clear of the fire. Just make sure you didn't catch a straight bullet. You just want to make sure, you just keep your head down and just stay clear of everything. But, it was a funny feeling a little bit, and that's why I just went to Coach Kelly and just wanted to see what my situation was. And that's when he told me that they weren't going to bring me back. So, I respect the decision. And just walked out, gave him a hug, and thanked him for the opportunity that he gave me, and I walked out, and that was that.
Really interesting, and obviously he's now the guy calling all the shots over there, and, you were an offensive player. What do you think of this offense in this league? If you were playing on this offense as a young man still, Trey, would this be, what would you think about the offense that you were a part of?
I like the offense. I do like the tempo. I like the no huddle because it keeps defenses on the edge. But there are some things that need to be, addressed maybe, and I really don't want to, tell all that because, they still might let me over there in the NovaCare. And if I go too hard on them, they might shut me down just all the way, and then I can't even go over there, But there are some things that do need to be corrected that I think that's just come with adjusting to the NFL type of style of play. Because these defensive coordinators have all these guys that are sitting in the meeting room like myself that spend nothing but time watching film and getting your style down to where they know how to handle what you're giving. So you have to be able to adjust and just keep flowing with the game. And you have to trust your quarterback to make the right decisions.
Well, and that's obviously the key spot. And you played with the same quarterback virtually your entire career. They haven't won a playoff game since that guy left, and everybody was asking for that guy to go. They haven't been able to replace him. Is this the guy? Do they have their guy, or is he not the right fit for this offense?
I think Foles can get it done. It just depends on what, with a zone read offense, you're going to have some type of run threat. And that's where, where Foles kind of lacks a little bit because he doesn't have that run threat. He's not somebody that's going to blaze upfield and get you 5-10 yards, So that's where the issue is. When you look at the offense, you need that quarterback that can give you that type of movement out there on the field. But Foles makes pretty decent decisions when he has time. But the issue is that you have to protect him because he's not going to be a guy that, okay, I see a problem, I'm going to scramble upfield. You don't have that right now.
Yeah, and it's almost, there was an article written in an Oregon paper saying, look, you can score, you can put up stats. That's still going to happen. But for this thing to work at the optimum level, you're going to have to have that threat of the run. And it sounds like you agree with that?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. You have to have, especially with this type of offense, in any offense, period. Tony Romo, one of the biggest things that he did was that he was able to escape and make some plays and run upfield and make some plays happen, extending the play and scrambling around in the pocket. So, you need to have that type of pocket presence. You need to be able to get upfield if something happens, if something goes bad. And really, you have to get rid of the ball on time, because you have guys like myself that's sitting on the sideline as soon as that ball snaps and is sitting there thinking like, all right, the ball needs to be gone by 2.5. If the ball isn't gone by 2.5, we're getting a sack.
Hearing that is really interesting because you don't hear a lot of people break it down in terms of the numbers like that. And you mentioned the pace of this offense and the way that they run. Do you think sometimes that this team, the offense, needs to take the foot off the gas a little bit, maybe shift some gears, or do you like the fact that no matter what this time score, that they usually come after you?
Well, I like the tempo. I have no problem with the tempo. It's just sometimes you have to change it up. I think that sometimes you're going to have to trust your quarterback to make a decision and say, you know what, I don't like this play. Let's go with something else. Because the defense is presenting something totally different.
Well, and then obviously, this team with this, why do you think this team had the running issues? Was it the offensive line? Was it the lack of DeSean Jackson? What is your take on them not having Jackson? And then it kind of, it seemed like it kind of reared its head in the running game a little bit this year.
Well, when it comes to the running game, I think everybody kind of figured out what we were doing. When you see that Shady is lined up to the left, if we run the ball, he's going right. If he's lined up to the right, we run the ball, we're going left. So a lot of teams started shifting their defense to prepare for that. And that was a problem. That was a big problem for us. So, and then we're running into the teeth of the defense. So, you have to kind of make those adjustments where maybe you might want to just say black over and run it to the other side.
Well, so do you think, though, losing Jackson was a big loss, a big factor in this at all, or not as much as maybe some people, would say?
Well, I love just because he brings so much to the field. When you have a receiver that's that fast and can catch the way he is, the way he can, I would try to figure out a way to make it work with him, but
you and me both.
That's just wasn't my call. I mean, when you have a receiver, that's that fast and it can just give you 50 yards, all you need is a quarterback that can just get it out there and he will go and get it. You have to find a way to make that work with him.
You and me both. We're both on the same page there. Trey Thomas, obviously a member of the Philadelphia Eagles for a long, long time. By the way, the year that you were drafted, was that the same year was Randy Moss in that same draft as you?
Yes, he was. Yep.
And I know a lot of Eagle fans were hoping for Moss, but they got a stellar left tackle for a long, long time. And, man, you were a rock over there. Obviously, the Super Bowl, did you think about that on Friday 10 years ago? That was the day. 10 years ago Friday was the day. Did that come up in your mind at all?
You know what? No, man. When I sit back, I just watch the games and just enjoy where we are right now. When I'm asked about it, then I started thinking about it, and it's like, dang, I wish we could have won that, And like it's so, and I did a segment with Ike, and Ike is ridiculous with Ike Reese. He's ridiculous with how he remember all the plays and stuff. And I've always been trained to just forget the last play and just move forward. So the game, I really don't remember it that well. I went. We watched some of the highlights, and they were like, okay, I know we lost by 3 points, and we were just right there. But it was just tough to go back and you look at it, and it's like, man, we had a chance to win it. And it's like you always think that you're going to go back to the Super Bowl the next year, and it's just not that easy. It's a tough road to get to, and and it's just a blown opportunity that we've had. And that's why I went back into coaching, because I just wanted to bring, and especially with the Eagles, because I've always wanted to work to bring, so I feel like I had unfinished business here with the city.
That's amazing. You mentioned it. You guys were so close so many times. In general, what do you think your teams were missing that you just couldn't get over that hump? You had 5 NFC Championship game appearances. How come none of them resulted in a Super Bowl? What were you guys missing?
I think that one of the things, and not to take away from any of the guys that we had, I think just adding T.O. into the mix, having that big play receiver, is really what we needed. And as you can see, when he got there, we went to the Super Bowl. And I think just having that type of athlete out there, that commands that type of attention and big plays and will deliver for you, was what we needed during those stretches, and I think that was the missing link.
I think a lot of people would agree with you there. That's the year when you guys had him. It was amazing to see that offense kind of churning out the yards and the points that were happening when he was there. If they could have kept it together, I don't know what it would have been like, what it was like to be on that team the next year when it all went down there. But I guess being a part of that team, Trey, had to be terrible to watch that thing just shatter.
Yeah, it just went down here because, I had back surgery, then somebody else got hurt. It just, the wheels just fell off the bus. It was not good. It just started off with machine cam and things like that, T.O.'s in his front yard on crunches, he had 6-pack and everything, big man myself. I'm not big crunches for that. But, he's doing it, but it was just all bad.
Well, Trey, we know that you weren't thrilled with the way this thing went down with the Eagles, and it sounded like you were really passionate about it. Hopefully, maybe, they reconsider or something happens. I'd love to see you back in football, and if you ever, want to talk some more football, we'd love to have you on during the season and talk more football with us here. But we appreciate you jumping on board and sharing some stuff with us here on The Bash.
Man, anytime.
Take care. Trey Thomas, everybody. Great stuff from him.